Now to do step two are your objectives. So you should have at least one objective from each standard listed. So for example, if this is my standard, right, ask and answer questions, ask and answer questions about key details in a text. So I'm going to put my standard here, and then I need to now use this standard to create a SMART objective. So if we look at here, remember objectives should be SMART. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So I need to now go and so with prompting and support, ask and answer questions about key details in a text. So I'm going to put students will be able to ask and answer questions about key details in a text read aloud in a non-fiction text about plants read aloud. So if you can see, right, it's SMART. So is it specific? Yes. So students will be able to ask and answer questions. I'm going to actually put here about key details in a nonfiction text about plants read aloud. So yes, it's specific because I'm saying it's not just any text, it's a nonfiction text about plants. Is it measurable? No. So I need to make it measurable. So students will be able to ask and answer 3 questions about key details. We'll be able to ask 3 questions and answer 3 questions about key details in nonfiction text read about plants read aloud. So now I made it measurable because I said it 3. Is it achievable? Yes, students will be able to ask 3 questions and answer 3 questions. That is achievable. It's relevant because I said it's about plants, which has to do with my unit, and then it's time bound. So I'm going to say by the end of the unit, or by the end of the unit, read aloud by the end of the unit. So now it's time bound, and because I said the end of the unit. So students will be able to ask 3 questions and answer 3 questions about key details in a nonfiction text about plants read aloud by the end of the unit. A nonfiction text read aloud about plants by the end of the unit. So now I double check, okay, is it SMART? It's specific. Yes, I'm saying that it's 3 questions here, specific, answering 3 questions, asking 3 questions, that they're able to use key details in a nonfiction text read aloud. And then it's measurable because I'm specific, 3 and 3. Achievable, it is achievable for them. Relevant and time bound. Now I can also add UDL if I want. So I can say students will be able to ask 3 questions and answer 3 questions about key details in a nonfiction text read aloud about plants using an anchor chart with question words and sentence frames to support discussion. So now I have some supports in there as well for students. So for each standard, you should make sure that you have an objective. So then I should do that again for my NGSS. And because this is kindergarten, I'm not doing Illinois Early Learning. But if I was doing Illinois Early Learning, same thing. Just making sure that my objectives are measurable. Now, you can also use Bloom's taxonomy to support you with the rigor of your objectives. So, for example, if I was doing here, use observations. If I was doing this one and I wanted to maybe make it more rigorous, right? We don't use is not an objective word. So if I wanted to say here, students will be able to, instead of use observations, I might want to use Bloom's taxonomy to help me make my objectives more rigorous. So I could say students will be able to observe, right? So I could say students will be able to observe, and describe patterns of what plants need to survive. So now I have it, instead of use, I have the word observe, and then here's observe from the understanding, and then I also have the word describe here. I could also use this word, which is predict, right? So maybe I could say students will be able to observe and predict patterns of what plants need to survive. Here you can see here's the word predict, so that could be a good word. I could say students will be able to collect data about plants and what they need to survive. Students will be able to interpret results of an experiment. So lots of different fun words to use that really change your objective and make it more rigorous, but that are still connected to the standard and that are connected to the theme.